Hey you, psst. Hey you, psst. Come closer. Come closer. You want to know a secret? Shh. You want to know a secret? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Shh. So let's do this. Hello everyone, my name is Rebecca Valera. I'm a former teacher turned realtor living here in the beautiful city of McKinney, Texas. And today I'm going to be giving you 8 secrets that'll drastically increase the value of your home the most. So the first tip that I'm going to give you has to do with something that you're not thinking I'm going to be saying, and that is fix anything that you know that's broken already. So whether that be something minor or major, make sure that those things are taken care of ahead of time. Now, a buyer is going to ask you to do major repairs on foundation, the HVAC, the roof, the electrical if there's issues with that. So make sure you just go ahead and take care of that now, because you know they're going to be asking for it again later. So handle all those major items first, and even some of the minor ones, because they're going to be showing up on that inspection report anyway, and you might as well take care of it now. Now, if you're the kind of person that doesn't have the kind of money to, maybe fix your foundation, that's something that you could explore with your realtor to potentially pay for that expense at closing. So if you don't have the cash up front to pay for something major, a lot of times those vendors will allow you to pay for things at closing. So make sure you keep that in mind. That's my pro tip for number 1. All right, so secret number 2 is cleaning and decluttering. Now, you can either hire this out or do it yourself. So put it in a little sweat equity and you can get it done yourself. A dirty house will always get you a lower price. So go ahead and start packing up all those little trinkets, and you want to try to clear out the room as much as possible. If the room is small, you only want to put a couple of items in there. So if the bed's pretty big, maybe it's just the bed and a nightstand, or just the bed itself and a little tall lamp next to it. I mean, the bigger that you can make the space look by decluttering and getting some of that clutter out of there will really, really help. Also, you want to make sure that you deep clean. So you're cleaning under things, you're cleaning behind things, you're cleaning the little cobwebs and stuff that are on the ceiling that have been there since you moved in. So make sure that you're deep cleaning and not just cleaning on the surfaces, because people can tell. And be sure that you watch until the end, because I'm going to be giving away 2 bonus tips. Shh, shh. All right, so tip number 3 is going to be paint. Paint is one of the least expensive things that you can do on your budget to really make a huge impact on the sale of your home. Now, whether you're deciding to either do it yourself or hire someone out, there are a couple of things that you're gonna really need to know about when it comes to paint. First of all, and most importantly, you always wanna go with a neutral color. So any of the grayish tones will work. You don't wanna go too dark, but any of the grayish, so like a blue-gray kind of thing, my background would kind of work. Anything that's pretty neutral. Now, if your home is decorated to where it will go with more of the browns and the warmer tones, then I would go with that neutral color. So like a tan or a brown. So here is another one. Never, ever, 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 ever paint your entire house white. Everything will look washed out and it won't look good. Now, if you are choosing a white-ish color, maybe choose a white color that has a slight gray or a slight brown to it, so that way it brings out that warmth if it's brown. You don't want it to look really washed out, okay? You never want your trim to be the exact same color as the color of the wall that you choose. So there should be some contrast between your trim and the wall itself. So make sure you paint your trim either white or go with the natural brown color, not like brown paint, just like I can't think of it. It'll come to me, I promise, later, right? It'll always come to me later. Also, another tip about paint in your trim and your wall contrast, you want to make sure that your wall is more of a flat paint, and maybe it has a little bit of shine to it, but not a whole lot. And then your trim needs to have a little bit more shine to it. Now, don't go all glossy on me. A little shine around the trim will really make that contrast look great. Now, if you're hiring someone to do the job for you, make sure that you ask if there's extra cost to take down the wallpaper or take down whatever was there prior to them having to maybe retexture that area. And if you're having them scrape the popcorn off your ceiling and retexture that area, there might be an additional fee for that as well. If they're painting any of your cabinets, you want to double check that they're also painting the inside of that as well. It's very distasteful for you to paint the outside and someone open the cabinet and see brown on the inside. So make sure that you're doing a complete paint job and that they're using the right type of paint for your cabinets and any doors that you have them paint. So when you are painting yourself, you really want to make sure that you test the color before you decide to paint the whole wall, okay? You don't just want to go with your gut and say, well, my gut says this looks good, let's go with it. You want to make sure that you test a couple of different colors, see which one looks the best, then buy your 5 million gallons of paint, right? And any paint that you're going to use to freshen up your door or your trim, because there's nicks and scrapes, you want to really make sure that you get the right kind of paint. And usually if you talk to someone at Home Depot or Lowe's or Sherwin-Williams, they should be able to direct you as to what type of paint that is. The last thing you want to do is to buy the wrong kind of paint for your door or your trim. So here are a couple of don'ts that I've seen people do that really drive me crazy because it really turns me off whenever people do this. So I've seen people not use painter's tape, and as a result you can see there's a spot or a line or whatever it is. I can really tell when someone's not using painter's tape, so make sure you use that. Please don't paint over the light switch cover or the light switch, because I've seen that before. Very tacky, looks awful. I've seen people paint over the internet jacks that are in the wall, any plates that are in the wall. It just looks so tacky. So anything that is a wall covering, whether it's a plug that you plug in or a light switch or a plate that's covering a certain spot, don't paint over that. Just buy something new that looks nice to cover it. And the worst thing that I've seen is someone actually painting over their smoke detector, so much so that it doesn't work anymore. So please don't paint over your smoke detector. Everyone expects the smoke detector to be white or a different color, so please don't paint over that like hot pink. And the last pro tip that I have is, if you're painting a room and the ceiling in that room looks a little yellowed, I would highly recommend just going ahead and just painting that white. There is actually ceiling white paint that you can get for your ceiling. Do it. It'll make the room look 10 times better with having new paint here, and then your ceiling is nice and clean and white versus yellow. Ugh. All right, so tip number 4 is going to be new and improved landscaping. If this is done right, it will drastically increase the value of your home and really create a strong demand for the buyers that are wanting to buy it. Now, you want to make sure that you have great curb appeal in the front, as well as any landscaping that's in the back that needs to be taken care of. As far as landscaping goes, any bushes that you have, especially those in the front, make sure they're trimmed back as much as possible. Especially if you're selling your home in the summer, those bushes are going to grow back at a higher rate because all of the sun and all of the water and all of the heat, those are just factors that help plants grow. So you want to make sure that you try to trim up those trees, trim up those bushes, whatever it is, needs to be trimmed down as far as you can get it to still make it look good. You don't want just branches, okay, in your bush. Make sure you still have some greenery in there, but trim those back as much as possible for people that are coming to see your home. All right, so after you trim back all of your bushes, you're gonna wanna clean up that flower bed and start pulling weeds. So if there are a lot of weeds in your flower bed, go ahead and just start pulling them out. This will save you time later, and you'll thank me for it later. If you weed the bed now, there's a less likely chance of those weeds coming back up during that month that you're having to show and sell your home. So make sure that you're not skipping that step, and make sure you weed everything. Not just weed eat, but you're actually getting on your knees or paying someone to pull those weeds out. Once the bed is completely cleared off and cleaned out, the next step that you want to do pretty quickly is to go ahead and mulch and mulch and mulch some more. Now, make sure you get a brown or a black mulch, because that red, I'm sorry, it is just awful. I don't care what kind of brick you pair that red mulch with, it's ugly, okay? So don't use red mulch, use brown or black, because those are more neutral tones, right? We want to stay neutral, right? And the reason for us wanting to stay more neutral with the mulch is when we buy flowers to put in the bed, it will really make those colors pop more. Now, if you have room on your front porch for a large pot, I would put a big, beautiful pot there with some flowers in the pot. Make sure you pick a color of flower that goes well with your brick, because if you have light pink brick, you're not going to necessarily want to put a big blue pot, because blue and pink don't really go together, right? So maybe like a neutral colored pot with some either hot pink or white flowers will look awesome and phenomenal there. And if there are any spots in the flower bed that kind of look like there should be flowers in there, go ahead and buy a couple of flowers and stick them in there. Now, you don't necessarily have to plant them in the ground. You could buy a couple of cute little pots and put some little flowers in on top of the mulch that you just put down. As far as flowers go, you want to make sure that you're very choosy when it comes to them. If it's cold outside, you definitely don't want to buy a flower that's just going to wither away and die in the winter. You want to make sure the flower that you buy is going to last for a while and it's going to be pretty hardy. So if it's a flower in the summer month, you're going to really want to make sure that you get the most drought tolerant, beautiful flower that you can find. Usually those people at Callaway's will be able to find you the perfect flower for what you're looking for. At least that's been my experience at Callaway's, but who knows? I'm sure you have some gardening friends that know all about this stuff, so be very choosy on what type of flowers you get, because you really want them to last. You don't want to buy the cheap ones at Walmart or Lowe's and have them keel over and die, and all your hard work dies with the flower. Now, if there are a lot of bare spots in your lawn, you have a couple of different options. The first thing, if there's enough time before you put your house on the market, you can get some grass seed, and you just want to go ahead and seed your lawn, so that if there is enough time, the cheaper option would be to just go ahead and seed a lot of those bare spots that you have to solve the problem. Now, if you're putting your house in the market in a couple of weeks, the seed is not going to work. You'll want to make sure that you go and grab some mulch. Now, if there's a big tree, you want to make sure that the grass that you buy is pretty thick and hardy and can grow in shade. The last thing you want to do is to try to get a thin grass that needs a lot of sun and not shade. So make sure you're getting the appropriate type of grass too for those spots in your lawn that are bare. The other thing that you can do with some of those bare spots, if you're really having a hard time getting something to grow, is to just mulch it. Put some mulch in there, put some flowers in there if it's a small area, or if it's an area that's off to the side and you can make a cute little flower bed out of it, maybe get some rose bushes or some other little miniature bushes that you can put there in that spot, and it'll be more appropriate for the lawn anyway. Now, here's something that happened to a recent friend of mine. If you have a deck that's in the back, and her deck unfortunately was just in bad shape and they had to take it out. Instead of putting some mulch down and spending money that way, what they decided to do was to take a big section of that area, put mulch, Add a row of little bushes, a row of little flowers here and there, and the area looks so cute. It looks so good, right? And you would have never known that there was a deck there. Now, for the parts of your home that run between you and your neighbor, a lot of times it doesn't really get a lot of sun, and I know the spot between my house and my neighbor's house usually is very bare when it comes to grass. So if that is the case, then what you want to do, maybe think about putting some rocks there to pave it, because in most cases between houses you're going to actually have water flowing and a lot of drainage either going to the front, into the street, or into the back, to the back alley. So putting rocks there sometimes will make more sense, and it'll make the area look fresh and clean. Or what you could do, if it's really muddy, you can put flagstone or some sort of concrete to make little steps so that people can walk through that side of the house easier. All right, so the fifth thing that you absolutely want to do when you're thinking about updating is the flooring. Now, flooring impacts the value of your home more than you would think. The appraiser will even give you a boost on this one. Now, any type of real wood that you choose to put down is going to increase the value of your home, whether that be bamboo, hardwood, hand scraped. I mean, there are so many and so many different types. As long as it's wood, it's going to increase the value. Now, if you're on a budget, a nice laminate will fit the bill and really freshen up a space. And the color of the flooring really does matter. So before you buy anything, make sure that you are talking and consulting with your realtor, because they know what they're talking about when it comes to matching the flooring, to matching the cabinets, to matching the granite that you're going to put on the top, and the wall paint color that you're going to have in the room. So make sure that you're consulting and talking with your realtor. The process that I usually go through with my clients is very similar to what Tarek and Christina do whenever they're remodeling and flipping like a kitchen or even just a room in general. You want to make sure that the flooring goes with the wall color, goes with the countertop, goes with the type of cabinet that you're going to have if it's like a kitchen or a bathroom. So make sure that you are talking with your realtor and not just going crazy and buying all this stuff. Make sure that you consult with them first, because they are the expert and they should know what is going to look good for buyers in today's market. Now, if you are hiring this piece out, so that means that you're hiring someone to install either wood floors or the laminate or whatever they're installing, make sure that you double check about the baseboards. Are you gonna remove the baseboards? Are they gonna stay on and you just put a shoe mold all around the bottom? So about the baseboard, you wanna make sure that you have a plan. Are they gonna take off the baseboards and install new ones? Or are they going to keep the baseboard that's there and put shoe mold around the bottom? Things to think about, because every decision that you make about this is going to cost you either more or less money. And also, don't forget, there is an underlayment. There is a cushion that goes underneath the wood or the laminate. So make sure that that's also added into your costs as well. Just like a carpet has padding, so do wood floors or laminate flooring. All right, so tip number 6 is going to be granite in the kitchen and or bathroom. So adding that granite really does make a huge difference, not only from the buyer's perspective, but also from the appraiser's point of view. It's gonna give you a boost there. You definitely wanna hire this type of work out. This is not just your average Joe handyman that can necessarily do this type of work, especially if you are keeping your current cabinets and not swapping them out for anything new. You definitely want to hire someone to take the current counter off or the current backsplash off with minimal damage possible, and then install that for you. So make sure that you're pricing those types of things out. And a couple of no-nos that I have seen in the past. So I have seen people go cheapskate and get the cheapest type of granite that doesn't match with anything else. So don't do that. I think it's like black, gray, and white spackle. I see it a lot, especially with people that are trying to save money. So if your kitchen has more of a warm or brown tone, choose a granite that has more of a warm or brown tone in it, and not go to the absolute possible cheapest, which is the black, gray, and white. So that's tip number one. And also you want to make sure your colors kind of go together and match. You just don't want to pick a random color that really makes the granite stick out in a bad way. The other thing, pro tip, that you don't want to do when it comes to the cheaper side of things, don't buy granite tiles and feel like that's going to give you a boost or some sort of upgrade, because it doesn't, and that grout is extra hard to clean. So that's a big no-no. And the last thing that I've seen, this was in a rental property, they said that it was updated, and they pretty much kept the counter that was there, like that plastic on top, wood on the bottom, kind of thing. So they kept the counter and they put this thin coat of piece of granite on it and called it updated. And I was just like, this is the cheapest, worst thing that you could absolutely do. It'll turn people off versus on. So if this is not in your budget, then don't do it. If it is in your budget, then allow for it. So just kind of keep those things in mind when you're updating your kitchen or bathrooms with new countertops. All right, so the seventh thing that you can do to add extreme value to your home is going to be changing out that hardware. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a home with that ugly brass gold knobs and handles. Ugh. Okay, that's all I have to say is ugh, right? So if you happen to have that lovely brass or gold in and throughout your home, you definitely want to consider swapping that out for either nickel or the brushed bronze color, which is kind of like a charcoal black. I'll have some images up so you know what I'm talking about, right? And that's going to go for all of your doors. So all of your doors, bedroom, bathroom, front door, back door, all the doors need to be changed out. I can't tell you how many times I've walked in a home and they did half the doors, and then the other half was this gold color, and I was just like, why didn't you just finish it out, right? Ugh. But anyway, you want to do all of them, and then you also want to do the knobs to the kitchen drawers and bathroom drawers, and then also the knobs to the cabinets as well in both of those places. You want to make sure that they're all consistent and they all match. That's super important and really puts that little extra touch on your home versus another home someone else is going to see. I can't tell you how many homes I've seen this in. It's very tacky, very distasteful, and it's a quick, easy thing that you can do as a homeowner to really update and freshen up the look of your home. Now, I would also recommend updating any faucets or handles to sinks, tubs, that type of thing as well. If you happen to have some of the brass or some of those old knobs that they used to use in the 70s for the showers, if you have any of those, I would highly recommend, if you have the budget for it, to take those out and to put something newer and fresher in there to really help that space out. All right, we're down to our last tip. Tip number 8 is going to be light fixtures. So if you have an old decrepit fan, or if you have that lovely gold or brass colored fan, you want to make sure that that is swapped out to match with everything else. So if your hardware is nickel, then you want to make sure that there's nickel or silver in the new fan that you're going to get to install. So just kind of be consistent with your colors and make sure that everything matches. Now, this also includes light fixtures that are on the exterior of your home as well. Your front porch light makes a huge difference in first impression when people come to see your home. If it's old and disgusting and decrepit and that kind of thing, what kind of an impression is that going to make on the person that's just about to walk into your home? Not a very good one, I'm going to tell you. Now, if you don't have the particular budget to update either a light fixture or a fan or even some of the fixtures that you have in your bathroom. With a lot of the fans and the light fixtures, you can actually take them down and clean them out. So if you have, I know in some of the laundry rooms, they'll just have a really simple, bulb light fixture in it. So I would take that out, take the little bowl out, I would wash it out with some soap and water and put it back up. You'll be amazed at how much dust and dirt was actually in that light fixture that you just made new to a certain degree, right? So the same can be said for your fan. Sometimes the little sconces, and I'll have a picture up here that shows you what a sconce is. If the sconces are outdated, you can actually get some more at Home Depot and screw those in and completely change the look of your fan as well. So that's another cheaper option for you. Now, some of the light fixtures in the bathroom, what you can really do to update and upgrade some of those is you can actually, if you're handy enough, you can take them down, you can sand them down, and then you would spray paint them with some of that metallic paint and put it up, and it looks like new. There are a couple of YouTubers that I've seen clean actual light fixtures in the bathroom. I'll have a couple of links in the description below if that's something that you're interested in as well. All right, so here are my final bonus tips that you have been waiting for. So bonus tip number 1 is to replace the doorbell. I can't tell you how many times I've gone to homes and everything looks great and there's this ugly, faded out, yellow doorbell that's plastic and cheap. And I'm just thinking, why couldn't they go to Home Depot and swap it out for $5? I can do it, you can do it, it's easy, makes a great first impression. Swap out your doorbell. All right, and the last bonus tip that I have for you also has to do with that first impression, and that's your front door. Did you know that your front door will always give you a positive return, whether you buy it brand new or you add a fresh coat of paint and liven up that door? Well, that's all that I have for you guys today. If you're interested in my free ebook on how to sell your home for the absolute most money possible, you want to be sure to check that out right over here. It has some great information on other things that you can do to sell your house quickly and for the most money possible. I hope it's a great resource tool that you can use as you're trying to get your home ready. And if you need that special touch or that special help and you happen to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, feel free to reach out to me. My phone number and email address are in the description below so that you can reach me there. I'd be happy to chat with you about any and all things home related. And to watch more great stuff, check out this video over here. And for my latest and greatest, check out this video right over here. That's what we're gonna be talking about. I'm gonna be giving you 8, that's 9.